after I beat you and satisfy all the Hulkamaniacs, I'm going to get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
You so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling Podcast, episode 134, Flirting with Disaster. That's right, flirting with disaster, because we got some stories about the natural disasters coming your way tonight with the returning Juice, which is myself, and Sretton the Savage, and Bruiser Bodie. By the way, good job last week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody that downloaded and listened and watched on YouTube. And speaking of that, if you're watching right now, hit like, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, ring the little bell so you get all the notifications when we drop some hot new content. And be sure to leave us a rating and review on any podcasting platform. So now that is out of the way, I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. He's all the way down in Atlanta, Georgia, dust the roads country. His name is Kevin Brown. I met this man when our kids were playing football together. We were sitting on the sidelines, and real quick, just a little quick backstory. I forgot how it even came up, but we just started
talking about wrestling. You got a big mouth and you talk to everybody around you.
I do. And I started talking some wrestling, and then Kevin spewed out some fucking old school shit, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
I've been watching that since the late 70s going into early 80s.
Yes.
So getting into that, because this is one of the things I love about this show is being able to not only bring on actual talent and people involved in the business, but passionate fans like myself and Bodie and Sretton's trying to learn how to fucking pretend to be. I love bringing guys like that on the show because it's cool, and like how I have you're part of the group, the Juice Pro Wrestling Universe on Facebook, the JPDUB, which is a place everybody needs to check out if you're on Facebook. It's just cool to hear other stories and experiences from other fans, man. We've all had grew up different, went through experienced professional wrestling in different ways. And we've had cool stories about, maybe meeting some of these guys and girls and stuff. And when we talked a week ago, you had an awesome story, man. So, but before we get into that, kind of take us back, Kevin, into I know you said late 70s and stuff. What were you watching and how did you get into it?
Okay, how I got into wrestling. My grandmother, God rest her soul.
Hell yeah.
On my mom's side, she was a big time wrestling fan, right? Mm-hmm. I used to go in there, I see her watching it, and I try to turn the channel. She'll throw a shoe at me and say, "Don't be turning that."
What's that Eddie Murphy thing? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's my house.
that was her thing. Watching wrestling and the Cubs. That was her thing. I'm a White Sox fan. Sorry
Me
about
too.
that.
Me too.
She was a Cub fan, and she loved wrestling. And I
Mm-hmm.
grew up watching wrestling with her. I mean, she's still about. It was back when Jake the Snake. She used to talk about Jake the Snake, Bruiser Brody, Sheik, all those guys. The AWA were wrestling and all. My grandma, she's from Louisiana. She brought us up in Gary, Indiana, but she's from Louisiana, Shreveport. I remember one time when we went down. It was our family reunion. I had it was a wrestling event. My very first wrestling event I attended. And I was like, oh man, a real wrestling event. So I'm attending this thing. I'm a little kid. I'm just about 11 years old at that time. I saw, that was a heck of a card. I mean, because at that time, you would think they were just, some of them were just getting their name paved through the way, but you think about this, it was Dr. Death, Steve Williams, he was on that card. Midnight Express.
Nice.
The old Midnight Express.
Right.
Sweet Stan Lane and the Fantastics, fabulous ones.
Yeah.
One of the main events, the main event. I remember it was a cage match. They had Dick Murdoch versus the Crusher.
Oh my God.
Yeah, versus the Crusher, and then that was a bloodbath. They went all out at it, and the right before the main event, Fabulous Freebirds.
Oh, dude, Michael Hayes doing that strut.
I had the privilege I had the privilege of seeing for my first wrestling event, seeing Terry Gordy, Michael Hayes, and Buddy Jack Roberts in the ring, and they took on they took on the Fantastics. They took on the Fantastics, and it was a special. I can't remember who the third man was, but it was a good show. Freebirds, fast read. Nobody's going to beat them down south.
Right.
So down south, nobody's going to beat them, and that's really Atlanta's. That's really the real Atlanta boys right there.
Oh yeah, dude. Freebirds were and still are my jam, man. I mean, I know our old theme song used to be like a little snippet of the intro of Bad Street USA.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so diehard on that. I got the behind the music.
Atlanta, Atlanta, GA.
Hell yeah. I got the behind the music DVD they made on that thing, man.
Yep.
Oh, it's pretty badass. But dude, what a killer card! Like just all those legends and names. I mean, you know,
they were all on there. I mean, I'm trying to think. I might be leaving somebody out. I mean, but that name. I mean, those names were on that card. It was just a regular Saturday event. It was no nothing special or nothing. It was just a regular Saturday event that they had down south. And it was in the arena. It looked like it. I'm not sure. I think it was in the old high school.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old at the time when this happened. That wasn't no big arena. It was like they were like in a little high school or something, and it was packed.
Oh, yeah. Sure it was. I mean, like I said, that list of names you mentioned is a who's who of, you know, members of like the Cauliflower Alley Club and, you know, a lot of different wrestling Hall of Fames around the country, not just WWE, you know.
That was in the early 80s. That's like right about 1980, 1981.
I can smell it.
Yeah.
I can smell it right now. I love that old school wrestling.
Yeah, I was 10 years old at the time.
Man.
The guys they were just breaking in. They didn't really reach their plateau until about 80, 88, 87, and 90, you know, and through the 90s, and they retired. But right at that was it. They right when they were just breaking in. Some of them were already in, but a lot of them were just breaking in.
Well, did you say Brody was on that card?
Yeah, Brody.
Damn.
Jeez.
I love me some Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
That's why Chris and Bodie over there.
I do too.
Yeah, Bruiser Brody. He was, yep. Man, I mean, that was a heck of a match. That was a heck of a card.
Oh, I'm sure, man. That people were definitely afraid of him. You know, they didn't realize or really know. And of course, especially back then, you know, kayfabe was very much alive and well. You didn't know what you were getting with him. You see him on TV and he's just wild, giant, swinging a chain and just beating the holy piss out of people. It's brutalizing them. So I can't imagine.
And the Crusher.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, that dude, yeah. He had been around a while before, but I mean, he was a veteran at that time, but man, that was I was just in the ring. I mean, just seeing these guys, man. I mean, at the time I was looking at them like, wow, but I heard of them, but they weren't really all that they weren't that much of a household name.
Right.
At the time.
So after this event, I mean, this is something you were already into wrestling. I mean, what did that first event really do to like your mentality and your thought process and maybe your adoration for the sport?
That turned me up to wrestling. That got me up on. I mean, that sent it right over the roof. After that, I was watching every show. Mid-South Wrestling, WWF, NWA. Well, back when it was WCCW, then WCW, then Texas League, Florida Championship Wrestling. All of that.
Did you watch the Smoky Mountain?
Smoky Mountains.
I love Smoky Mountain.
Yes.
Still do.
Smoky Mountains, yep. AWA, in the old original AWA.
Yes.
I mean, that's who I mean, if you grew up around in the Chicago area, you know the AWA.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere in the Midwest.
That's
Yeah.
I mean, Vince pretty much.
A lot of guys came up in that AWA.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Road
Vince
Warriors.
pretty much
Road Warriors,
built
yeah.
his dominative, formative years with the WWF with every talent that was in the AWA.
Yeah.
Just think of who
Yeah.
was there: Mean Gene,
Rick-
Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter.
Gagne was there for a little bit.
Yep. Rick
Yeah,
Martel,
well, yeah,
Yep, Martel.
Vern owned the damn thing. That I mean,
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
Scott Hall.
Yeah, big
Hall
Scott
came
Hall,
through.
dude,
Yeah,
when he
big
was
Scott
huge
Hall.
and had the
Kurt
porn
Hennig.
star
Push broom.
mustache.
The push.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Before
that
he
was,
was doing all
That was before
before
that.
he was-
Hey, yours.
yeah.
He was just, hey, y'all.
Before he tried to put on the Cuban act, he was playing
Yeah.
like a big Italian.
Yeah, before the Superman curl.
tag champs with Kurt Hennig, man.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect
Yep.
in the AWA.
Even in what that was when his dad was on the way out, Larry the Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Kurt even was at one point he was the AWA champ.
He was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He,
And then
I
they-
remember- and this I'm giving my age on this one. It was right. I remember he beat Rick Martel for that belt.
Yeah.
He broke the rules, which was his whole career.
Of
And
He
course.
cheated.
And beat
Speaking,
Rick-
yes, Kevin.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of Rick Martel, since you brought him up, we've been privy to have him a few times on the show. So,
Yeah.
real quick, I'm going to ask him, Rick, what was your thoughts on that epic world title loss, man?
Everything that Kevin said is 100% accurate. That motherfucker, he cheated. And we had a fucking deal. And I don't want to talk about it.
Fair enough. Thanks for your input. Till next time, brother.
Kiss my ass, juice.
Oh, motherfucker! If I ever get my hands on the model, I'll tell you what, man. It's gonna be some crazy shit going on.
I'm still faster than you, fatso.
Hey, you still
Gotta
fatso?
I gotta go.
Yeah, you
Wait,
get the hell out of here.
that's another guy's catchphrase. I cannot use that one.
Yeah, go back in the obscurity, Rick, the has-been model.
Sorry, Andre. I gotta go.
More like a plus-size model right now.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. So
Oh,
there you
man.
go, Kevin. You gotta be careful who you bring up
Exactly.
on this show because certain guys tend to show up at weird times, man. It's just it's crazy on here, dude.
I've always been a big fan of the Horsemen, though. That was always. I mean, the Four Horsemen. I know they were heels, but I was a big fan. I was a big fan of them because they weren't like heels like the bad guy that they weren't the typical bad guys. They were like the bad guys you wanted to be.
Those were those.
You listen to Ric Flair talk to his whole promo,
Yeah.
and then you have Arn Anderson jump in there with all the wisdom and knowledge jumping, and then Tully and Ole just standing in the back, but still, I mean, what they stood for.
Yeah. Excellence, man. I mean, at that time too, they really like kind of almost like the first. Well, to me, they were like the first super heel like group. I mean, stuff that if it weren't for the Horsemen, who knows if we would have had like NWO and DX and all the faction stuff.
Yeah, unless you want to talk about the Texas Outlaws, but they were just a twosome.
Right.
That was the first group.
And even
Everybody
with the
could whip this right
Horsemen, I said the Horsemen with the Four Horsemen.
Horseman. There you go.
Entry. But even with them, they had JJ Dillon too.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was that like? I mean, because I was super young back then, so I mean, I didn't like get into the Horsemen until like later days, like in the 90s and shit. But like watching them in the 80s, like blow up and kind of that whole experience. Because when you go back and you look at the tapes, all this stuff, I mean, you were right, they were heels, but dude, women loved them, men wanted to be them, and Flair
Exactly.
cutting
They
those
would've-
promos about having a hard time holding his alligators down and all that.
Styling and profiling.
I mean, what was that like back then, like growing up back then and seeing those guys like starting to come out with that? I mean, because it had never really been done.
He was NWO before NWO was cool, when it was just the Four Horsemen.
Mhm.
I mean, you got to look at when Ric Flair gets on there and he says, "Because I'm the jet flying limousine ride." I mean, when that guy goes down,
Kiss stealing. Wheeling deal.
man, I mean, that you can't help. You can't help as much as you don't like what they're doing. You can't help but to like, man, these dudes are.
Right?
I mean, you can't help it. I mean, I put it like this. When Dusty Rhodes, no disrespect, in one-on-one match, he'll beat any other horseman up. He did. With that elbow, I mean, sometimes he beat two at a time. Ron Garvin would beat him up. They're all of them on one-on-one matches. Hawk, Animal, all of them. But when you get the four of them in one match, they get inside that what they call that?
Like the war games, the
war
chamber?
games. Man, it's over with.
The match beyond.
When you can take them out one by one, but when the four of them get together, it's just something about when those four get together, they're not going to lose.
Oh,
they're going to win.
Hell yeah. What was your favorite incarnation of the Four Horsemen?
Mongo.
Mongo.
Oh, shit. Here comes Mongo.
Hey, I like Mongo. I like Mongo. I got respect for him, but
I do too, but you had no place on the Horsemen. Come on.
no.
I mean, there's a Instagram page just dedicated to his botches. So
honestly, I like Ric Flair and Arn Anderson always there, all from beginning to end.
Yeah.
The other between Tully Blanchard and Ole Anderson, they were like in and out, even though they were the original, but they were in and out with them.
So you'd say,
like
would you say probably like just the original version of the Horsemen then?
Honestly, tell you the truth, I like Tully Blanchard, but I like the Horsemen better when it was Rick, Arn. Let's see, Rick, Arn, and
Barry Windham.
Yeah, and Barry Windham.
Okay.
Yeah, even with Tully Blanchard, even with Tully Blanchard, because Ole was kind of old at the time when I first started. And he really didn't when him and Arn wrestled, Arn did all the leg work. Ole would come in with a couple of power moves and then tag in Arn, and he's doing everything. I mean, that's how he got here. That's Double A. He does everything. He's the enforcer. He's the enforcer.
Oh, the enforcer.
I liked it better when with Rick, Tully, Arn, and with Barry Windham.
Okay. Yeah, that's who WWE recognized in the Hall of Fame.
Lex Luger. He was cool.
I think Sting
Malenko, Sting. I mean, there's so many people that was a Horseman, but
I loved it when it was.
But Windham added like a little bit more over the top with them. You know, he put them over the top more than Ole did.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
My opinion.
Sure.
My opinion.
What were you saying,
I'm gonna be honest with it. Yeah, Barry Windham.
I can respect that
for sure. Yeah. I was saying my favorite. One of my favorite lineups was, of course, Rick, Arn, and then it was Pillman and Chris Benoit. Like when they're in WCW, I love that setup. Like you got the loose cannon, and then you got Chris Benoit too.
I think Dean came in after Pillman left, right?
Yeah, Dean came in after Pillman.
I remember that, dude. Like Pillman was so crazy, and he had people backstage like fucking second guessing, like, is this really him? Is he fucking shooting on us? Is he working us? Like people didn't know, and that was what was so great about Brian Pillman coming into his own character. You know, from Flying Brian into the loose cannon.
Yeah.
I remember though, what was it? It had to have been like a Saturday night, or maybe it was a Nitro or something. I just remember him kind of like, like behind, like they're doing a Horseman promo. And then was it Arn that just smacked him or some shit? And he's like, control yourself, motherfucker.
Yeah.
What did five fingers say in the face?
Arn was the piece of glue that held them together.
Oh yeah.
When him and Tully left and went to the WWF at the time when they were the brain busters they were.
Yep.
I mean, that was a good run. I mean, it wasn't exactly Tully and Arn type of deal, but they ran with it and all. The Horsemen, I don't know. That's when the Horsemen had disappeared for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Ric Flair was just doing his solo matches at that time. But then when they came back, and that was like in 1994 or 93 or 94 when they came back, that's when Brian Pillman came back. When Pillman came back, and that kind of eased the way of the Horsemen back along with Chris Benoit.
Yeah. I think Paul Roma was around right before.
Paul Roma was too.
Yeah, Paul Roma was in there. So
Everybody
was Sid.
shits on Paul Roma, dude. I
know.
I forgot about it.
I liked him. We had who did he train? Richard Holiday from MLW.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Most marketable. You know,
Also,
it was like I
when he
never
was with
really
Paul
I
Orndorff.
loved Power and Glory. Remember them?
Yeah, Power and Gory when
Him
him
and
and Hercules.
Yeah.
And also what did him and Paul Orndorff, they called themselves something.
Oh no shit! I just seen something today I didn't know about.
They were a tag team in WCW. They were a tag team. Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff.
I do remember that,
For a
like
while.
early '90s WCW.
Yeah.
Because I watched a lot of Saturday Night from back then on the network, and it's like my favorite era for WCW Saturday Night.
It was going to do. And Paul Orndorff had to quit for a reason, for health reasons, and then Roma was on his own. He never could just be the type of wrestler who would go on his own.
Yeah.
He had to be a plus one all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, some guys that's just it's still wrestling, but some guys just don't have the charisma to just carry it by themselves.
Yeah. Paul
like
certainly.
Marty Jannetty.
The Jannetty, you can drop Jannetty on the show.
Oh man,
Kevin's getting ruthless in this
Under the
motherfucker.
other guy.
yeah. We usually save those for later.
That's Marty Jannetty.
Poor Jannetty.
Kevin, you just started a new segment on the show that we're gonna call Under the Bus, where we just say something just out of the blue. Nice stuff. Marty Jannetty, under the bus.
Could be worse. It could be Marty Jannetty under the bus.
What's sad? The most famous thing he's known for was getting kicked on Shawn Michaels' show. Right in that mirror.
Getting thrown through the barbershop window. That's what I know.
Like it was yesterday.
I mean, that's at all his. The guy, I mean, I feel sorry, but the guy had a good career. He won tag team titles in AWA. He won tag team titles in WWF.
Mm-hmm.
But that kick to the face is gonna outshine everything.
That kick heard around the world. The kick
You
that
never
ended-
escaped the barbershop window.
That was the birth of sweet chin music, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the original burial right there.
Dude, I remember that happening, and it was weird because I was at Mania 8 and I was seeing some house shows around that time. And I never really, I mean, the Rockers were over like huge. I mean, they were like top tier tag team in WWF. I mean, everybody fucking super over baby faces. They were like, I would equate them, being at the time, the WWF's like Rock and Roll Express or something like that,
Yeah.
And
They were trying to match them up against each other, man.
Yeah. For that to break down though, and like I said, I remember like it was yesterday, dude. Sean putting them through that barbershop window, and I was like, really? Like, don't do that to Marty. I just got the damn Hasbro action figures for Easter, and now they're split up.
Hey,
Throw them in the microwave.
that could have easily been Robert Gibson between him and Ricky Morton.
Yeah.
Ricky Morton carried.
Man, you got Gibson. No one ever says you got Gibson. You got Jannetty.
You got Jannetty.
I mean,
It's just like you got lost.
I mean, Ricky Morton carried charisma on that team. Robert Gibson he was just
stand there with that one eye that went fucking wherever it
He
wanted
was the
to
hot
go.
tag. That's all he was. He was the hot tag.
He could have been put through the window.
Oh yeah.
Hey, he's still going. Maybe one of us could just fucking kidnap him, go put him through the window. Live through this.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. If you're out there by chance and somehow you hear this,
Oh yeah.
we love you.
Yeah, Marty
Yeah, of
Jannetty, you're invited to the show anytime you want. Plus, that's one of the top 3 heel turns in wrestling history.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that's
Shawn
gotta be-
Michaels is
I
up
would
there with
say
the
so.
NWO Hogan.
yeah,
You
when
know
they-
what? I've never said, and I'm glad you said
You
that
know what?
because I've never.
I say
looked at it
smart
like that.
things all the
You
time.
do.
Shut
That's
the
it.
fuck up, you dumbass.
Dynamite dropping, Stratton.
Hogan was the biggest heel turn,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I kind of knew that was coming. Well,
No, I'll agree with that.
I had an insight. I also kind of knew that was coming because you see, remember when I told you how I met Typhoon?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let that segue.
He was kind of giving me all the insight was about to happen in the future, and I was like, what? I was mad, but I was cool in a way. But dang, man, the amount of so many beers he was chugging down, he just started spilling, telling me everything. I'm thinking that next thing you know, I knew what was going to happen for like the next 2 or 3 years straight. I'm like,
so real quick, Kevin, back up. Take us back to that time, because you met and dude, back then, even still, kayfabe was a big deal. Though you had the steroid trial and all that, which kind of really Vince really fucked up on that. It was still secretive. I mean, you were privy to a lot of like exclusive information that, they're not going to just walk and tell some Joe Blow off the street. So like, I mean, that's pretty heavy shit to know stuff like that back in the day. But real quick, take us back to where were you at the time where you met Typhoon?
Okay, when natural disasters, met both of them, but Typhoon was I met first. I was in the Navy at the time, and coming back into the States, and we were right by Key West. So we pulled in, we anchored there, and we were staying there for a weekend. So I had Liberty call, so I went on off the ship and went into town. It was me and a buddy of mine. His name was, I can't remember his first name, but Faircloth was his last name. Faircloth. I think it was Terry. This a long time ago.
It's all good.
we went into a bar. We went to this bar and we're sitting around. We looking around there. There was like all kinds of like. It was a big old wrestling ring in the center. I was like, oh man, this person must either likes boxing or wrestling, because it was a ring. Mm-hmm. So we sitting there. We noticed there's all kind of pictures of wrestlers and all kind of pictures of wrestlers all going surrounding the whole bar. Every single picture, it had a wrestler, superstar, and tugboat. Other wrestler, superstar, and tugboat. Like, wait a minute. Like,
what an egomaniac. I just worked in Bret Hart.
Yeah. Tugboat.
It was like all these
Tavern.
superstars. Yeah, Tugboat and Hogan. Tugboat and Andre the Giant. Tugboat and everybody in there.
Tugboat and himself.
Yeah. I'm like, man, this dude's a real good. I'm talking to the lady. She's the bartender, and I'm sick. Excuse me. My voice kind of like going a little bit, kind of going out some. But okay, talking to this lady. She's a bartender. And she was telling me that the owner of the bar is a professional wrestler. And I'm sitting up like, I'm acting like a professional wrestler. So it got my interest a little. So I sat back and ordered another beer. And then she told me, you probably know him. She said, okay, all right. She mentioned his real name. Did she tell me, you probably know him by his stage name. He goes by Tugboat, Typhoon, or I'm like, oh, get out of here. And then I started looking around, and then it all. I mean, everything came. Oh man, now this is why his picture in every last one of these. It's like, oh man, we in Tugboat's in Tugboat's bar.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So me and my friend, we were like, oh, well, can you give us some more beer and some mushrooms and all? We were eating fried mushrooms.
Ooh,
we gonna sit here. She said, yeah, I just got off the phone with him. He's gonna be here in any minute. Like, oh shoot. We sat there. We're gonna sit here. I mean, we already knew this. Like, oh man, he's gonna be here any minute. But then my buddy Faircloth was like, man, he's not gonna want to talk to us. He's gonna come in here probably just to check on his books and then leave. No, we're gonna wait here. And I mean, we sitting there. We're gonna wait here. Wait till this guy gets here. He comes.
Hold his ass down.
As soon as this guy, all of a sudden, this big old polar bear of a guy, big old guy. I mean, just comes right through the door. I'm like, holy shit, man, this dude he's bigger than TV. He's bigger than he was on TV. I'm like looking at this guy, like, how you doing? He comes and sits down by the bar next to us. We looking like little kids and all like, oh, all right.
Oh shit.
So he said, he said the bartender. So she said that you guys were like really good friends of ours. I mean, really good wrestling fans. I was like, yeah, we're big wrestling fans. I'm like, tugboat. He already sat down. I'm sitting up there, tugboat. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the first blunder I made. Then he said, and then he was like, hey, just relax. Hey, my name's...
Start rubbing your shoulders and shit.
He gave me a handshake and gave my friend a handshake and all. And he sat down. We were just sitting there talking. He ordered another round. He said, what are they eating? My fried mushrooms. Bring a whole bowl in. Bring a whole bowl up and keep frying. And then, I mean, we went through so many pictures and fried mushrooms and pictures and fried mushrooms and pictures. I mean, we were lit. We were all three of us sitting there lit. And this guy he's a big dude. I mean, when you see him on TV, you think like, oh, big old fat guy. No, his stomach big. But you look at his arms, shoulders, his chest, and everything. Man, that's all solid muscle. I mean, that dude that's like a big farm boy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all solid muscle, man. I mean, he had a gut on him because he chugged all them. I mean, he chugged a lot of beers. But we were sitting there. He was telling me about Dino Bravo, about what happened with him. He was telling me about well, I didn't know this. I didn't even know what had happened to Dino Bravo. I thought he just retired and left. You know, he was assassinated in his house. He was assassinated in his house. Yeah, Dino was telling me that he was involved with the mob before he came to wrestling. He was involved with the mafia, and he did a lot of things, and that Vince sort of looked the other way, just as long as he didn't bring it to wrestling. And that was the idea. He didn't bring it to wrestling, but the mafia, the mob, they knew he was a wrestler. They were trying to come to every event. Would tell them, no, you're not allowed here. Mm-hmm. And it caused kind of caused a little bit of friction because they were wanting in on Vince's ground, and Vince was like, no, either you tell your friends or I'll just fire you right now. So Dino shoved him out. I don't know what he said, what it went wrong, what it went down, but something went down between them. And he had a match, and nobody knew where he was at, and they couldn't get a hold of him. None. They tried to keep that under the rug, and they didn't really want to tell. At that time, they didn't really want to tell a lot of people about it. It was a mob hit. They found him. They found him dead in his living room, laying on his couch. He was bullet here, bullet there, and he said one in his head.
Oh yeah.
Shot him executioner style. I'm like, I mean, this guy was a pro wrestling superstar. I mean, the bench press champion. I mean, dang. All the time I grew up, I watched this guy wrestle. I would never think that, like, wow, he was like a part of the mob. Yeah. But as a wrestler, I didn't even think of it. That thought didn't even come to my mind. Didn't even think of that. But he was, and that just go to tell me like wrestlers have a life. They're people too. And he was trying to live two lives. Yeah. As a wrestling superstar and as a mob hitman or whatever he was doing. But yeah, that was messed up, man. Yeah,
I apologize for like slyly smiling. I don't mean disrespect to that heavy story, but I was smiling because I had this stupid visualization of you guys just drinking your beers and him telling you this unbelievably heavy and serious story, and you guys slowly crunching into these fried mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Something about that visualization just made me smile. Yeah, talking about the personal life, that's, even though kayfabe is dead and all the private shit they had, I think that's one of the big things. I might be the shit talker, I guess, of the group. My criticisms for modern day wrestling, but a lot of fans still, they want access to that private stuff. I don't think they should have that, other than like stuff like your story, like you were at a bar with Tugboat and he can say whatever he wants. But as far as like mostly the public, like, man, your private shit's your private shit. Your family stuff should be your family stuff. You should be a fan of the character, and you don't need to know people's. You know, people are sending wrestlers like fan mail directly to their house, which is creepy as shit. But
stalking them.
I don't know. But I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going. I said my 2 cents.
Okay, I understand. And another story. He's got to talking about like coming up, like what he's going he was talking about making a return. He was telling me he was thinking about making a return. I said, any chances he's gonna team up with Earthquake? He said,
Kevin. So at this time he was out of WWF, right?
Yeah, at this time he was out of WWF, and he was thinking about making a return back into WCW. He was thinking about it. He said,
Shockmaster.
He was thinking of that, and also he said something about Vince was offering him to come back to team up with Mabel. No, not Mabel. Yeah, Mabel. What the big guy? Viscera,
same guy.
No, Mabel was a little dude.
That was
they were like a tag team. Remember?
Yeah, men on a mission. Mo and Mabel. Mabel was the big guy.
Yeah, he sure was. Yeah, and he changed his name to Viscera. Yeah.
I seen Mo not too long ago at an event. Man, that dude ballooned up, and big old boy.
Yeah, him and Viscera was going to come in and become a tag team. They did it for a little bit, but it didn't really. I don't know what went of it, but he was telling me about that. He told me about you're about to see a lot of wrestlers leave the WWF on the WCW. So like, really? He was telling us about. He said, "Oh yeah, it's a big scandal going on right now, and Vince he threw some people under the bus." I was like, "Oh," and he threw some people hard under the bus.
Oh yeah.
He said you're going to see
proverbial bus.
Hogan. He said you're going to see Hogan's coming there. You're going to see Piper's going to come. He's on his way. You're going to see Bret Hart. I'm like, Bret Hart? No, Bret Hart ain't coming there. Yeah, Bret Hart is coming there. He was naming them all off. He was telling me the whole everybody once they contract is up, they're not re-signing. They're going. They're coming south. They were all coming south. They were just waiting for their contract to end, and they cut out. They were all going to NWA. Oh wow! And then he said, and watch, there's some guys that's going to come in here, and there's some guys that's going to come there, and you're going to be real surprised of some of changes when they come to NWA. They've been talking. He was telling me that they might do it. They've been talking the idea, but a few heroes or a few favorites are going to turn heel. I was like, few heroes, few favorites. I was like, oh man. So I'm up asking like, well, yeah, that's like a few heels and few favorists. I'm like, come on, man, come on, tell me, like, give me a little. Now you got me on the edge.
You're telling me like,
just telling me like, you trying to beat around the bush. Tell us about this, man.
Yeah, I ain't a bushwhacker.
But this was before Facebook, before internet, before people can just get on and just go, oh, that's what I heard.
And remember those days? Like what that information you had like back then at that time,
dirt sheets.
Dirt sheet shit. I mean, that was gold.
Just think if Facebook was around at that time. Mm-hmm. He told me that they're going to come up with a faction that they're going to some of the unbelievable is about to happen. You're going to see some guys turn heel. He never really told me. He just said some guys turn heel that you would never, ever, ever dream to turn heel. And as I watched it, and I was able to put it together. Yeah, it was Hogan, Macho Man later on, follow behind. All these guys, they turn heel. I was like, wow. He laid it out there. He laid out and told it. If like I said, good thing, but that was during the era where there was no Facebook, there was no social media. There was none of that. So yeah, you can talk to somebody about some of these things, and if the person goes out telling it, nobody's going to believe you. So, but you put it on the internet today. Today's times today compared to yesterday, if I knew about that and say I got on my phone and just sent it out on Facebook
Right.
about a gazillion people would go along, not even no proof, and just believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like they believe they're really talking to MJF or somebody on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Not him.
Yeah, but that's how I kind of got the scoop of what was about to happen in WCW. That all
That's
those guys
awesome,
was gonna turn heel and it was gonna be like, because they were already in competition with WWF. They were gonna get all the heroes, turn them into bad guys, and make them. They were gonna turn them bad and make them go against them. And I guess take the chance on thinking that was going to make like a big publicity or bring ratings, and and it did. NWA was something else. First, everybody we went from being shocked, like, and it was like it became hip. It became like wow. You see everybody wearing NWA shirts and all that stuff. Oh, I mean, I wore one too. Everybody was. I mean.
Hey man, it's for life.
Yep.
For a while, you forgot about the Horsemen. I mean, you forgot about
everybody.
You forgot about everybody. Everybody was joining NWA, and then it became like it was only just supposed to just been Hogan, Paul, Nash, and X-Pac, but everybody else just ran on with it. Everybody else as soon as they got Bret Hart was there for a little while. Kurt Hennig, I mean, all the WWF stars, like you said before, they all became NWA.
Dude, the new world order.
Yeah,
the shit was red hot, man.
Yeah.
To this day, it's still damn WWE for owning that shit because, man, dude, what a cool faction, and that's something that, I mean, the storyline fizzled. They watered it down. They threw way too many fucking guys in it.
Yeah,
too many groups.
It
sections.
It was too many people in it, and the whole NWA red and white thing. That's when I saw that when they came out with the red and white or the red and black or whatever. I was like, the Wolfpack. It was nice. It was nice, but at the same time, it's one of those things that's going to go up like this and then the crash died.
Yeah, you're beating a dead horse at that point.
And then you had the BWO, remember the
LWO, the LWO, the Latino World Order.
Yeah, and then it was like, it became a comedy show. Then.
Yeah. LWO's music was tight, man.
Yeah,
it was
was.
Eddie Guerrero.
Psychosis.
Chill.
Man, you see Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, Hoover 2, and all those guys.
Hoovy the Juice. The OG.
Hoovy Juice.
Yeah.
Silver King.
I was going to say Silver King. I thought
I think El Dandy. Remember that promo Bret Hart cut on El Dandy? He's like, he's a hell of a competitor. It's like, God damn.
Yeah,
Barry El Dandy for
some of those guys would get beat up all the time, every. But then when they got this, but when they got the LWO, all of a sudden they were like, they were winners. They were everybody.
It's the thuggish, ruggish bomb.
And then all of a sudden, then you had Chavo Guerrero. I mean, all of them. They were running around, and they were. I swear. I'm not trying to say anything, but dude, who was that? Who came on there? Eddie Guerrero. He came on there and started saying some stuff from what movie was that? He started saying Vatos Locos Forever and all that junk.
He started Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah, I was going to say Blood In, Blood Out.
He started trying to play like Blood In and Blood Out. I was like, oh man,
now getting all gang on this.
I'm like, you guys are doing great until you start reciting lines off a movie.
Yeah. I think Conan was a part of all the groups. I think he was in LWO, the NWO White, and Wolfpack.
You know what the best thing was? If you guys go on YouTube and watch where the NWO just came out and just beat the hell out of the LWO, it's like, get out of here. What are you doing?
The one thing that it was cool, but at the same time, I mean, it was cool. If you throw your imagination, throw your imagination in there and throw all reality out the window with it. The whole thing thing. That was when NWO had like about 50 people in there. And then it'd be all in the ring. Sting comes down on the rope.
Yeah.
He comes out with one baseball bat and beat everybody.
Yeah, right.
And,
Sure as hell did.
And the guys, they all standing like in the old movies, like when Bruce Lee,
Where they wait to fight him.
When they
Looks at him
wait
or
to-
something. It's like, why? How these motherfuckers just hit him in the back of the head? He's right behind him.
No, we're gonna wait. Hold on.
They just be sitting up there like waiting, like when they turn to come in.
We must lock eyes to do battle.
They look like a character at the fighter select screen in Street Fighter, waiting for their turn.
Right? Perfect.
Round
I
one.
mean, for real, it'd be like about 20 or 30 people out there.
Fight.
One dude come down on a rope, and he got his, but hey, but we like it.
Said he come down on a rope.
We still watched it. Like we love that stuff. But man, you can't do that today.
No. You were sucked
can't do that
in,
today.
man, during that time. That was the shit, man. Like you believe, all right, man, he's the fucking crow. He's got powers
Like,
or supernatural or some
like,
shit. I mean, I was even older. I knew that none of that shit was going on, but it was still entertaining and it was cool. It was just, it's like you said, though, it's a little much and ridiculous when one fucking guy's dropping from the goddamn ceiling to fight like
baseball bat.
gang of
That's made out of
motherfuckers.
rubber.
You got like 20 guys in the ring and about 15 guys outside the ring. He kicks every last one of them out.
He did. He was like,
And it always, and the last guy is always Hogan. And he's standing right there looking at everyone, just holding the hat up like this at him, like that.
yeah, Hogan could be like,
Yeah, Hogan's
doing that
looking in
old
the
school
crowd.
heel shit, pissing off old ladies in the audience and stuff.
Like, what do I do? You're the Hogan. Give him the boot and the leg drop. What do you think
Right.
you're supposed to do?
Dude, Hogan is a
Hey,
heel, man.
That was entertainment, man. Hey, we
Yeah,
loved it back
totally.
then, too.
Suspension of disbelief was real back then. Too.
I mean,
Like Undertaker summoning lightning.
You sit there and look at that like, man, you look at it now. You're like, wow, that was some good stuff. But man, how did he do that? I mean, how did we not, how did this discussion did not come up? Back in the
Right? I just believed it. No, that shit's real. Yeah, he could do that. He's Sting. Fucking Sting.
He's got the crow makeup on. He's back
like
from
the
the
time he
dead.
came down, like the whole time, like when NWA did a real jump, a real assault when they all beat up Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? And the Sting here, Sting comes down.
Yep.
All of a sudden they forget how to jump somebody.
Motherfucker, a live Christmas one or something, like
Yes.
ball dropping on New Year's.
that quickly, they just forget how to jump somebody when he shows up. I mean, they were all
What they forgot though, like they're in the production truck. It's like, oh shit, man, we're supposed to send Steve down. Hit the button, quick.
yeah. Right. When they beat up DDP, they all jumping them and all like that. Like, okay, well, okay, they know how to jump. Sting come down. Oh, it's like one person at a time again.
Yeah. Yeah. The hell of group
Then
mentality.
he picks up that DDP and goes back up to the rafters and all.
Dude, I never understood that either. They should have kicked his ass because he'd come down and he'd take time, like a couple minutes, to get the hook off.
Yeah, he's got
Kick his ass, knock him out, and then let them bring his ass back up like fucking limp.
You gotta think they had like an NWO meeting in the back, and one was like, "Hey, do you ever think about just hitting the guy when he's undoing his latch? Shut the fuck up!
Hey,
Get out of here!
Hey man,
You're fired from the NWO. Join Red and Black.
man, I think
It's a stupid idea."
man, but for a while I was thinking that they would just freestyling it.
They were though.
were.
That's very much
Yeah.
true. And they had too many hands in the cookie jar as far as like writers. I mean, dude,
Creative
Kevin Nash
control.
was doing shit. You had Kevin Sullivan, like
Yeah.
Bodie said, creative
Hogan.
control guys like Hogan and
Piper
Hall and Nash, all
was
those
writing
cons.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
They didn't
too
have to lose
much.
if they didn't
Yeah.
want to.
And they ruined a good thing. And it's crazy to think now that, I mean, a lot of us sit back here and reminisce about like those days and like WCW. And dude, WCW really was only around for like a cup of coffee. It was, I don't know the exact years, but I mean,
No,
it was NWA, and then they morphed into the WCW, much like NWA when they started off with TNA. And then
when they started the NWO, it was big, it was large.
They were beating Vince. You were beating
night in,
Vince,
night
the
out.
guy who obliterated the territories.
Yeah.
Like that was Man, that was fucking unheard of.
But then as it started to tail end. It started to tail. They had a good thing, and they did it. They did the wrong thing at the end with it.
Yeah, they didn't really develop any new talents. I mean, you had Goldberg. That's pretty much it. That's like the only new guy they developed and pushed, and they fucked his shit up.
Yep.
They shouldn't have tried to spin the NWO by on all these factors. If they felt it was getting old, then make it implode, blow it up from the inside. You know what I mean? And then they all go their separate ways and not think of a new gimmick. I think of what else to do. But no, they drug and they drug a dead horse in. They kept beating the dead horse, and then people lost interest in it. Then you start seeing people like, I'm turning to Raw.
Well,
I'm about to turn to Raw.
They formed the NWO Elite, the infamous finger poke of doom.
Oh, yeah.
Hogan fucking, you think him and Nash are going to go at it in there. And it was a swerve the whole time. And then people were finally, I myself was happy Russo. Because I was like, I was a huge NWO mark. I was like, yeah. And it was the Elite. So it was just like the best guys, they trimmed all the fat. Excuse me. They had the B team and shit that they were.
No more Scott Norton.
Yeah. No more Scott Norton. I remember Stevie Ray getting pissed. He'd be like, you told us to fucking be here. Why can't we ride in the limo and shit too? And they're like, oh, Hogan just be like, brother, it's okay, man. Okay.
Then they started letting guys then everybody started coming in. That really killed them. I mean, you had Rodman, you had Karl Malone.
I liked Rodman though, man. The
Rodman, he actually pulled it off.
At that time, then you had
Karl Malone, but then you brought in what's the dude?
Jay Leno.
Yeah, Jay Leno. Oh no, the guy from from the movies.
David Arquette.
David Arquette.
Oh yeah.
He wins the title.
Ready to rumble. He came ready to rumble.
When that happened, when he won the title, man, that's when I was like, oh man, no,
it's over.
It's over now.
Yeah, I was like, fucking Russo.
Yep, David Arquette. They did. That was okay when the Insane Clown Posse when they came in there. That was cool. That was a good gimmick. Then they started letting everybody else in music come in. Here come Master P and all that. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, remember the No Limit Soldiers? Who was that big motherfucker, man?
Yeah.
Kurgan.
Yeah.
He was like a big ass fucking dude. Right?
Yeah. Now
he want to say Swole or something like that.
Yeah. His name was Swole. I think that was his name, Swole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Big Swole from AEW, though, female athlete. Yeah. Big Swole in the house, Yep. But yeah, they tried to do so much shit because they wanted to do what Vince did back in the 80s. I mean, he had Liberace there. He had all these superstars, Muhammad Ali, Mr. T, Cyndi Lauper, and even in the 90s. I mean, you had
that was
Mike
back
Tyson.
when wrestling didn't know better.
Right.
It was okay to do that stuff. But at that time, when it was at a turning point, right when the Attitude Era was really right before the Attitude Era, it was I forgot what they call it, Ruthless Aggression Era.
Ruthless was after that. The New Generation was before.
Right at that, it was a turning point, and wrestling fans was a lot smarter. We're getting to be, back then, wrestling, it was just everybody knew what it was for, so they came to it. Whatever they got, it was grateful for it. But as time went on, and no, it just would. It took a long time to try something like that.
So real quick, Kevin, I want to kind of segue into something different. So, we were talking about the natural disasters. We talked about one half. We talked about fucking tugboat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Earthquake.
Tell us about the time you met Earthquake, aka Golga, aka John Tenta, aka the motherfucking shark.
The shark.
That was funny. Now, they're two different people. One can sit down and drink beer and slam hot wings, mushrooms, anything you know. And then there's Earthquake, who's more the family guy. Mm-hmm. He was more quiet because I see him. I used to go when I got out the Navy. I was still living down in Florida. I was living down in Lake Mary, and I went to Gold's Gym. He had a membership there, and I would see Earthquake first I would look at this guy like, wait a minute, because he had a membership there. I'm like, I look at this guy like, no, that's not. That's somebody that looks like him. and then later on, a little later on, a few days go by, and I'm working out, and I see him again. I'm like, dude. So I walk over to the water fountain. I'm looking at him, like, taking a sip, looking at him. I'm like, and then I walk by him. I kept walking by every back and forth. And then he said, I'm Earthquake. What's your name? John Cena. I'm Earthquake. WWE. I was like, oh man, was I was that obvious? Was I that obvious? He's like, yeah, you kind of were. I kept walking back because I walked by where he's at, like trying to get a closer look at him. And yeah, it was. I was right. He's like,
you checking me out, bro? You like what you see?
Yeah. So yeah, he worked out at that Gold's Gym that I was at, and everybody knows his whole physique is like pretty big and round and all, but dude got some power. It's not all fat. Well, he is mostly fat, but he was, but he got some power though. But he got some power behind it because I was watching him lifting a lot of weight up on that. I don't know if he was using his weight as part of an anchor or as an advantage, but he got some power. He got some power and some pull and all that. But nothing on like his partner was. But
you were sitting next to him though, like just fucking pulling more down, right?
Yeah. This dude can. On tricep pull down, deadlift, bench press. He was throwing a lot of weight and doing squats. He was throwing a lot of weight on there. He could work a little. He could work a little bit on his cardio. But
oh, come on. The low blood. I thought we were over the Genetti thing, and apparently we're not.
Under the bus.
Yeah.
Under the bus.
But Earthquake, he was. The guy was. He was a laid back guy. He was very, very, very laid back and very kind, very nice guy. He introduced me to his family and all that. His wife was there. She had a membership. He introduced me to him and all that. And he sat down, he talked, and I told him I met his partner, and he laughed and like, oh, you met him, huh? You ever see him again? Tell him I said, hey, well, you two don't talk? No, we do, but we kind of went our own ways. He said we went our own ways, but we're not mad at each other and nothing like that. But we just kind of went our own ways. He decided to slow things down and spend time with his family. And he was living in Lake Mary, and I'm like, I respect that. That's good. And everybody there, they knew Earthquake. They know that he's a wrestler, but they welcome him in, and they don't try to crowd him up and all that. Yeah. They got all that out the way. They got all that stuff out the way. But for a while, he was pretty much like a normal guy. But that was him. Quite a difference between one guy and the other guy. But when they were together, when I look at the picture when they put them together, man, that was a tag team. There was only one team that could really take them, that could really give them any kind of problem. That was the Legion of Doom.
I was just gonna say,
that was the only team that could give them any problem, and they gave the Legion of Doom some problems too. But that was about it. Yeah. Yeah, the natural disaster. I still remember that one promo when they were talking. When Hawk got on there, he was talking. He was like, he said he was talking about their workout routines and all that and all. And he said, and natural disasters. My advice to you, you two need to. He said something. My advice to you, you need to learn how to eat more salad or something like that. Royal Hawk tonight. Royal Hawk, man. They used to cut some shade on the low sometimes. So he said, what you two need to do is learn to eat more salad. I was like, oh man, no, you didn't say that on the promo.
Dude, Hawk's promos were fire, man. I loved him. He was so intense, and he would say some just wild ass shit. Probably because he was hopped up on fucking pills most of the time.
If I owe you money, if you owe me money, you're gonna. What was it he used to say? He said a couple of times on WCW. I'm the kind of guy, if I lose a bet, if I lose a bet, you're gonna pay me my money. Yeah. If you lose a bet to me, you're gonna pay me my money. If I lose a bet to you, yeah. And he'll just leave. and then Animal would just jump right in on him.
Tell them, Animal. And then they'd bounce. I love that they'd always bounce off each other. Like, tell them, Hawker. Tell them, Paul Ellering. Precious Paul.
Man, it's hard to believe. The Road Warriors, both of them are gone. Only Paul's left now.
Greatest tag team ever, in my opinion. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of guys today like the Young Bucks that have done something totally amazing with not only tag team wrestling, but because of how good they are. And like, I guess you'll say the clique that they formed with like Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, it started a whole new company, a whole new experience for, these kids that are wrestling fans growing up to maybe get something of what we had when we were younger, when there was competition, not just Raw and SmackDown. You guys are going to act like you're different companies, but even though you're on each other's shows all fucking week.
Yep.
I don't get that shit,
Yeah.
But it's hands down.
Barbarian. Powers of Pain. The Barbarian and the Warlord. That was I think the only thing about the only thing that was holding that team back, they had no charisma.
No.
At all.
That's why they brought in Mr. Fuji.
I mean,
they straight went to the past and the time machine brought them motherfuckers back. Like,
but those were some big dudes. Those were two big dudes that was standing next to the Road Warriors and be like, dang, they made the little Road Warriors like, I hate to say it, they made them look like regular people.
Yeah.
Next to them. The Barbarian and the Warlord. The Warlord, that was his name. Yeah, Barbarian.
Warlord and the Barbarian. Powers of Pain.
But they're still going at it too, man.
Neither of the two had any charisma. I mean, if it's just been one person, if just one of them had charisma, something to carry along with it, but they didn't. Neither one of them had it. The only thing that kept them was a manager like Mr. Fuji, or when they came to WCW, they were with Gary Hart. What's his name?
Jimmy Hart.
No. The guy who he was it
the Mouth of the South, baby.
Corey Hart. Corey Hart or Gary? No, Gary Hart. Gary Hart.
No, Gary Hart was WCW and stuff.
And he also managed Abdullah the Butcher. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Gary Hart. He was a Powers of Pain manager for a while in WCW.
Gary Hart was the shit, man. I got Great Kabuki, man. He managed him. Managed a lot of people. And actually, before he passed, he did some work with MLW when they were in their early years, like the early mid 2000s, something like that. Gary Hart was doing stuff with them. Who's your favorite manager of all time?
Oh man,
Bobby the Brain.
I'm about to say Bobby the Brain, but I'm trying to think of everybody else before I say him. And but right now, I mean, Bobby the Brain Heenan's got to be. I mean, I'm trying to think of everybody else.
There's a lot of good ones, but dude, Bobby checks every box, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying
to like
think.
Classy Freddie Blassie.
Yeah,
checks every box.
Yep. Dude, Bobby was the type of performer you wanted him to take some bumps in the ring. He was great at it. He was so quick-witted. Like his commentary was the best. Just being a manager and like doing like the, the typical dirty heel shit, like
salt in the eyes,
swipe your feet while the rest are looking or something. Or, he cost the Warrior the Intercontinental title, right? Yeah. Was that against Rick Rude? And he held on the Warrior.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I love those boots, those black boots he wore with all the little different color Warrior. I'm a mark.
That was. Remember when Warrior beat Rude though in record time? No, Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk, to win the
beat
belt
him in like record time.
Yep.
The music was still playing.
Yeah, Gorilla Plus, and that was it.
But Warrior was so blown up the whole time. He was blown up before he got to the fucking ring, dude. Like he saw how far. It was like, oh fuck.
He was running from the hotel room down to the ring when it was almost his time to go to the match. He wasn't even backstage. They just called him up on his hotel room. Room 323, Warrior, your match is on.
Somebody talking
15 miles.
Oh man.
He'll drop in too. You got to watch out. So Kevin, what are you watching nowadays? Is there anything that piques your interest nowadays?
Well, I try to watch WWE, but they kind of
Stanky.
yeah. I mean, how many? I don't even know what to say about it.
See,
I'm just like,
Get good.
I just turn the TV and I turn the TV on and I'm like, let me try to watch it for one time. Maybe something might interest me. Let me check it out.
Mhm.
Looking at it like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get disgusted like that.
Yeah.
AEW is good. AEW wrestling. That's
Yep.
I like that.
It's they market it so well, and to me it's exactly how they market it. It's a wrestling show made by wrestlers who are also fans for the fans, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, and people can not like it, you know. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
It reminds me of ECW, but a little bit more promo.
Okay, yeah, that's a good. I like that.
You know, with a look, it's a little bit more because
A little more chic on it, you know, a little more shine, polish.
ECW was awesome, but their production was they you know what I mean. Whenever you're doing a wrestling match, and you professional wrestlers, and you're doing a wrestling match in the mall. I mean,
The bingo hall, man. Come on, Kevin.
Yeah,
You're throwing everybody on the fucking bus on this episode.
Yeah, that's whoever. I mean, the way it was, they had the right idea, but it was just ran wrong.
Oh, Paul Heyman, man.
I thought it was a damn shame what happened with ECW, man. Because I think they could have really went to sky high with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Vince was funding them too for a few years. You know, they were making appearances on their TV every once in a while, and I think he did the same thing with like Smoky Mountain though. He because that was Cornette's shit, and Vince was forking out money for that, and you know, I mean, Undertaker went and wrestled a fucking match in Smoky Mountain. You know, you think that shit would happen now? Like, oh, we're gonna let the Taker go down the fucking. Wait a minute, there is no more competition because we bought it.
Exactly. I mean, the best advice I can give anybody who's starting, don't let Vince get nowhere near your production.
Yeah.
Because he'll throw his people in there, he'll throw some money in there, and the next thing you know, it's like he owns it. Like, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's putting it back out once it's dead, like he did with ECW, and it was just steaming pile of shit.
The drizzling shits.
It's so drizzle.
Remember, what was that one thing? Well, they had the Undertaker when I remember they had Undertaker, they had Big Boss Man, they had Farouk, all that. They called that
the Ministry of Darkness.
Ministry of Darkness was cool, but it turned
corporate ministry.
When they turned it to corporate ministry, that went down. It started going downhill.
I heard a story. I actually just found this out not too long ago that actually back in the day, they were looking at Christopher Daniels to be revealed as the leader of the corporate ministry. And then, you know, Vince probably looked at him and was like, oh, he's too fucking small.
Yeah, right.
And I'll just do it. If you can't do it right, you know, you got to do it yourself.
I should do it.
Yeah.
What Vince says. Vince should be the leader. That should be the Undertaker.
No chance in hell. What about that old ass video from the wrestling album or whatever? Remember, he's like on stage dancing. Is all like all 80s as hell.
Yeah. Oh man,
good shit. So Kevin, as we wind down here, real quick, I want to get a couple things from you. All-time favorite tag team.
Favorite tag team. That's best tag team. Road Warriors.
Fair enough.
My favorites is. I mean, it's a three-way tie. Road Warriors, Harlem Heat, and Bradshaw and Farouk.
The Acolytes, nice.
The Acolytes. Okay. It's like a three-way tie right there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I mean, it's hard to really because now I'm starting to really my brain I'm starting to really jog back thinking about the Midnight Express, but they wouldn't. Nah, they were just good right during that certain time. Who else was good at that time? Heart Foundation. How could I not even think about the Heart Foundation? Red Hitman and Jim the Anvil.
Yeah, Jim the Anvil, a great tag team, man.
Yeah, but I still would say the Road Warriors were the team of all.
Who's your favorite singles competitor of all time?
My favorite? Ric Flair. Shoot, Ric Flair was my I was brought into this background listening to Ric Flair, and I would leave out listening to Ric Flair.
I like that. I can respect that.
Heck yeah, man. Hey, I mean that's without a doubt, man. When all the kids, gotta remember, I was a kid back. I was 70s and 80s high school, 80s and 80s, mid 80s and late 80s to high school. And I was that kid that everybody was going around talking about saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, and Hulkamania, this and that. I was sitting over there going, woo! Style and profile.
Yes.
Dude, you gonna do the and all that. Man, hey, Ric Flair, I got to the whole time when the Horsemen were the Horsemen, I was a big Horseman fan. And Ric Flair and the Horsemen.
He really is. I mean, I'm a huge Hogan mark, man. I mean, you know, there was the time I got brought in to the business and made aware was because of him. But, you know, I'd have to agree with you, dude. I mean, and especially now, you look at so much shit that Ric Flair has done and influenced, and it's almost like he does get the credit, but he doesn't at the same time, if that makes sense. You know, like everybody's always like Hogan. Dude, Ric Flair, I mean, you got guys like Stone Cold and The Undertaker. Ask him who the best ever was.
Oh, man.
They're going to tell you that it was the Nature Boy.
Woo!
16 time. Hey. 16.
How about his favorite movie? Throw him into the turnbuckle. He flips over, runs to the other ring.
I love that. And then he'd eat a clothesline or a boot.
I never seen. No, one time I did see it. It landed one time, but every time, like about 1,000 times, he did that and get caught with like a fist or clothesline or something. I said, you'll see that move like, the tide about to change now.
And then the delayed bump.
Start losing. Boom. There it goes.
I'd always
takes the pump about 30 seconds later after getting hit.
It's the cheesiest move ever, but you know, someone would start beating up on him real bad, and he'd get down on his knees and be like, no, and then like get up real quick, like a nice thumb to the eye, like flick to the eye. It's just like some dastardly shit.
No, how about this one? How about this one? When he's in the heated argument with the referee, he pushes the referee, and the referee pushes him, and he falls on his back.
Yeah, takes the bump.
A little skinny referee pushes him, and he falls back on his back.
Puts over the ref.
Right. Or his faults too. That one where he steps 1 foot back.
Oh yeah.
The delayed bump.
And that was, I mean, he did a lot. I know you said Hogan was the guy and all, but Hogan matches, I started getting tired.
Formulaic.
This stuff was all, I mean, he'll start off, he'll be winning for like the first 2 minutes. And then next thing you know, the whole match, he get his ass beat. His tongue hanging out. He got no wind in him. And then
he's the OG John Cena.
And this is when you know the match is about to be over. Yeah. You see that like this?
Yep, the arm.
When you see that happen, when okay, all right, okay, the match about to end right now.
Yeah, he was. Everybody did that too when he came back. You know, when he became Hulkamania again, like 2002. He'd do the thing and the setup. Everybody knew it was coming. Like it was like we didn't forget.
And it was still just as good.
If you hit him with a chair or what, when he's like this, I'm doing that right there. I don't care, man. You can hit him with a baseball bat or whatever. No, he's just gonna turn up.
He was just so intense back in the day, dude. He was jacked, and he was tanner than a hot dog, you know. God damn. And he just the intensity, his promos, man. You could tell like him and Macho Man when they were cutting promos together, like I don't know who had the bigger pile of coke in their fucking locker room.
Macho Man.
brother.
You know what cracked me up, man?
Yeah.
Like when Ric Flair about to lose, he's got the guy beating him up, and he's about to lose. I mean, he never wins the match. He hardly ever wins the match by himself in there. You know, Double A or somebody's going to run down to the ring.
Woman. I remember in WCW would throw the high heel shoe.
Yeah. Or he could reach down and pull out some brass knuckles and he throws
Man,
them.
this tights. I'm like, damn, man, you got his dick stank all over
dude,
that.
I'm like, man, you be carrying brass knuckles in your drawers on.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit,
The whole
it's caught up
match.
in my dick. Hold on.
No. How about when Mankind reach in for Mr. Sacco after a whole match? A whole match that took place.
Just dripping.
Yeah, you probably would start tripping from the drip.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he went to Sacco. Did you see that? No, can you imagine being the other wrestler on the other end that's about to get to Mr. Sacco like,
Knowing you're gonna take it that night too, like
No, I don't want to. No,
I mean,
quit.
for real?
Take a fucking Sacco. It was disgusting. At least it seemed like over the years, once he really stopped wrestling, he would just bring a fresh sock.
Oh yeah, he would have it in a pocket this time instead of it was just junk. Like Nakazawa's undies.
Michael Nakazawa, he's like on BTE this week. He's like, I got to take a shit.
Man, I can see like before the event card comes out. Okay, you're going to be going against Mankind. Oh man, no, man, no, man. I tasted the salt last week, man, not this week.
No, it's gonna happen. You're gonna take that dirty sock from his crotch. You're gonna suck it.
Yeah, Mr. Sacco, man. Dang. I mean, after the whole match, this dude, I mean, he's a big guy. You know he's gonna be sweating.
Oh yeah,
And then he pulls that sock out like just Man,
so Kevin, real quick here before we end, man. Is there anything else on AEW? Do you watch anything on YouTube? I'm curious because I like to kind of gauge where people are at as far as like, especially like a fan like yourself, old school fan that may have got jaded a long time ago, you know, after the ECW and WCW got bought out, and then you're forced to watch, you know, what became WWE, which is unfortunately a really stale product. Now, don't get me wrong, they have like two good things going on today in this day and age, but that for a company that's as big as they are and the amount of talent they have on the roster, I'm sorry, that ain't good enough, you know, and that's just the cold hard facts. Has AEW, I guess my question is, has AEW or anything else that you've seen newer kind of really
that New Japan,
you've been watching some of that? Okay.
I try to catch it, you know, but yeah, that excuse me. That's they put on a good show there. I like their style of wrestling and all too. Oh, here's one. What's your favorite finishing move?
Oh man, that's a tough one, dude.
Best finish. What would you call the best finisher move? All the wrestlers.
Mine's Diamond Cutter.
Is it the Diamond Cutter
Or DDT or Diamond Cutter, which is
okay. All right.
one of those two.
That's the RKO too at the same time.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
What would you say, Bodie?
Personally, I like the it's a tie, the Burning Hammer or the Egyptian Destroyer.
Ooh.
So I love the Burning Hammer. Bobby Roode used to do that. He did that in Impact a lot. And then the Egyptian Destroyer is the Canadian off the top rope. I just think that's one of the sickest moves. Like, how can you kick out of that? Like,
I
can't.
I think I might have to go with Sretton on this one. And it's old school, but dude, DDT, man.
DDT.
I did that to a motherfucker in a real fight in the school. You're gonna kill him.
It'll end it quick.
Sorry.
DDT and then run out the door.
Dude, on the basketball court too, man. Shit was hard.
He did the old Jake the Snake.
Dude, I did hit the back. I didn't do the throw. I was like, I sent him down with the slap on the back. You know?
You did the man.
Yeah. Where's the sneak? Yeah.
Well, if you want to go to the power and simplicity of old school, you mentioned it, Kevin, earlier about like Dusty's elbow. That was Macho Man's elbow was also one of my favorite, and that's why I get so excited because Warhorse does his flying elbow finisher is pretty. It's like it's one of my favorite modern day finishers. It's awesome.
Poetry in motion.
And it was awesome when Macho Man did it too. Just a simple elbow.
Yeah, from that velocity, up on top too. And a lot of times when we drop it, it seemed like he'd either drop it directly like in the sternum or fucking on a throat. Both places that you don't want, like one of the hardest parts of your body. Fucking.
Right. I like that with Chris Benoit when he had that flying headbutt.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
The what was it?
He jumps all the way across the ring and do that almost.
That's probably
a huge frog
him up real bad. Eat his fucking brains up. He probably got a concussion every time.
Bam Bam Bigelow did that also.
Yeah, Bam Bam he's not. I don't think gets a lot of credit for as big and athletic as he was, and he was really good. I think he got revitalized once he went to like ECW.
Yeah,
and did some shit with Taz, and then where they were going through the fucking stage. And
here's one. Okay, you like the DDT? Who planted the DDT better, Arn Anderson or Jake the Snake?
I'm gonna say Jake. Arn was damn good too, man. But I got to go with the originator. I got to.
Yeah, I mean he's the originator. I'm exact opposite. Not just because he's a horseman.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But Arn puts like, he put. It's like when he throw that DDT on. You feel it when you just watch it and feel it. Like damn, he like do like this with like. He put his whole weight and everything into it.
He was a guy. I remember when he retired because of his neck. It was a sad day because I was never like a huge like, oh my God, Arn Anderson's on the TV, but I always had that respect even as a kid because like you said, the way he would deliver moves, he's of course everybody knows that spine buster. Yeah.
Too.
Awesome. Still to this day. He's got a big old pot belly and it kind of rolls off after he delivers it once in a blue moon. But hey, at least he still does it, and I like the idea of him being Cody's manager in AEW. It's pretty cool. It's a little weird considering that he was a horseman and, how much blood there was between Dusty and the Horseman back in the day. And now he's mentoring Dusty's son, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I'm still waiting on a heel turn at some point. Maybe him and Tully, because they're both in AEW,
True.
It'll happen.
But what would you say is it about AEW that really gets you as a fan? Because I think a lot of what they do caters to, like they say, the wrestling fan, the nostalgia factor, bringing in old school cats and, in my opinion, using them in a correct manner, so to speak. Like, dude, you're not going to bring in Arn and Tully and be like, yeah, we're going to get the geriatric fucking brain busters back together, give them a run,
and going against, with all due respect, but they're not going to come in there winning the world tag team titles and all that and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, out of respect, you're not going to take them out easy.
Right.
I like that. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
What do you think it is though about like AEW, like just out of curiosity, that really draws you in? Is it the fact that you see the old names?
It reminds me of the old way of wrestling. It reminds me of old WCW before the NWO. Before the NWO jumped in there.
Right.
Back when the Horsemen ruled. When it kind of remind me of both them and the old school WWE, WWF, and WCW before it got all flashy in Hollywood.
Right. Before it became like this giant production. And don't get me wrong, AEW is still well produced, but it's not super over the top. Where I just watched Survivor Series this past weekend, and dude, all the lasers and everything. It looked like I was at a fucking rave, man. Like
they're not having what's the old boy Bray Wyatt in a match at somebody's house somebody's crib and all. You know, what match was that? That was a couple years ago when he fought somebody. It started in somebody's house.
Randy Orton.
House.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That was.
Yeah. I mean, wrestling is a soap opera, but I do think that WWE tends to take it a little too far into that realm. They're
trying to make it look like something like too Hollywood.
Hence the term sports entertainment. It's professional wrestling. Let's kind of get it back to the roots. And I think AEW does a good job, and some other promotions, man, that you should check out, like MLW. They're on YouTube. They have a new show. Well, not new, but they just came back. They just restarted. It's called MLW Fusion. I think that's something you could really get aboard on, because they even got I watched this new one. They even got the kind of smoky filled arena feel like that, the old WCCW and NWA shit would have. And they got a lot, dude. The Von Erich boys are there, former guests of the show. Kevin's there. His two sons are wrestling. They got a lot of fucking old school and new school talent, and the strong style, lucha libre, a little bit of everything, man. I think that's some you should check into as well, because it's for one, it's fucking free, and if you're looking for good wrestling shit, that's what a lot of people don't get. And what we try to stress all the time on this show is it's not just WWE. People have been led to believe that for 20 fucking years now, and there is so much more out there. You don't have to be that jaded fan anymore. If wrestling was something that you truly loved and it's a passion of yours and you like watching or just being involved with in any capacity, you could still do it. It's still cool. It's not, you don't have to go into hiding and I kind of like wrestling. Don't tell anybody about it. It ain't like that anymore, at least in my opinion, because there's a lot of cool shit. Yeah. Do you still have the hokey fucking Kmart, Toys R Us, bullshit sports entertainment? Yeah, you do, but you don't have to watch it. You don't have to.
Yeah, true.
So next time we talk, Kevin, but here you're watching some MLW, some more New Japan Pro Wrestling, some AEW. Hook you up with some good independent promotions. But you're all the way down in Georgia now, man. So
Impact.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Impact's good.
Impact.
TNA.
Oh yeah.
Tuesday nights on Access TV. They've been killing it. I hope they get a crowd back. I hope someday we can have crowds again. Lord knows. So Kevin, in closing here, man, is there anything you want to say before we get ready to cut out here? Or
not really. I mean,
you could tell Sremy's
right now.
fucking ugly. Tell him you want to put him in a headlock.
Nah, right now, I mean, it's hey, this was nice. Sit and talk about some wrestling, talk about old school wrestling. I mean, 'cause that's really where the era that I came from watching it. I mean, I even watched the new school, but I came out the old school era of wrestling.
Yeah, it's good, and we love having guys like you on here to be able to talk that. I mean, that's what this show is all about. It's a show for the people, by the motherfucking people, and to be able to share your stories and stuff with the world, because we do have a worldwide audience. It's really cool, man, and that's what it's about. Being, I hope you felt comfortable and had a good time just coming on and shooting the shit with three motherfuckers who love professional wrestling. Well, 2.5.
Yo,
Flirting.
Training wheels.
All right. About to put some training rails when I ride his ass hard later. Well, Kevin, brother,
Yes.
I appreciate you coming on here, man. If there's any time you want to do this again, let's absolutely do it. If there, you get anything on your mind, like, oh shit, we didn't address this, or I got some old shit, or, we're looking to do a lot of different things content wise too, as far as like watch alongs, maybe go back and watch some of that old school shit and kind of give, commentary if you're down for that. Man, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think, be something that you might be like, man, these motherfuckers are on to something here.
Hey, that sounds like fun.
Hell yeah, brother.
I mean, this, honestly, I'm gonna let well, you already know about it, Justin, but I don't know if the other two, you guys don't know. I suffered a stroke back in February. And I have
When?
February, back in February.
Okay.
And ever since then, Hold on.
It's okay.
When I'm rolling through and I'm feeling relaxed and everything, I can roll my speech and everything out. But whenever I feel uncomfortable or if I get too excited and all, it's give me a little bit. I kind of start stuttering like the way I do, like I did right now. I don't know if I did that anytime tonight, but just okay, cool, good. It means I'm getting better.
Yeah, dude.
That's good. That's awesome, man.
I talked to you it was a week or so ago, and I was like, man, like you sound good, dude. You sound really good. Like I could barely tell a difference from when we first met and I started talking to you, man. So
Okay.
And if this, I hope this is something that can kind of help you and, like you said, get you more comfortable and adjust and feel better, man. Just
really feel good to talk about wrestling, talk about old school wrestling and shoot the shit with it and all,
Oh yeah.
Talk
Man.
about wow, how the heck did we fall for that stuff back in the early 90s? 50 dudes in one ring, one guy swings down and just takes everybody out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the fucking shit happens sometimes, man.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to be one against many.
True.
Yeah, brother. Well, everybody, thank you guys for fucking tuning in. We fucking love you. Keep supporting us. Keep being passionate wrestling fans like Kevin. And don't forget, there is always more out there. You might have to look a little bit. Same thing as music, which, by the way, check out the new Macabre album, Carnival with Killers. It's pretty awesome.
Yes, it rules.
Chicago, some of our old school homies.
Rules. Joe Ball was his name, is my favorite too.
Joe Ball. Joe Ball was his name. Anyways,
Joe Ball was his name.
Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. And until next time, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up.
That's right, you better get wet for the Juice Pro Wrestling Podcast. Wet 'em up.
You gonna do sex to me? Did you like that video? If so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out more killer content from your boys at Juice Pro Wrestling. Whoa, yeah!